हेलो स्टूडेंट्स, कैसे हैं आप सब। उम्मीद करता हूँ आप सभी लोग अच्छे से स्टडी कर रहे हैं। लास्ट लेक्चर में हमने फर्स्ट चैप्टर शुरू किया था 12th स्टैंडर्ड बायोलॉजी सिलेबस का, रिप्रोडक्शन इन ऑर्गेनिजम्स। उस लेक्चर में हमने पढ़ा था लाइफ साइकिल, लाइफ स्पैन के बारे में, और उसके बाद हमने सेक्सुअल और असेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन के डिफरेंसेस के बारे में पढ़ा था। लास्ट सेगमेंट में हमने कुछ इम्पॉर्टेंट कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स पढ़े थे असेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन के, और लेक्चर एंड हुआ था रिप्रोडक्शन टाइप्स के साथ। और लेक्चर के आखिरी में हमने 5 टाइप्स पढ़े थे असेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन के। सो आज वहीं से शुरू करेंगे, टाइप्स ऑफ असेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन। सो अ क्विक रिव्यू। First type, it is referred as fission, and it is further divided into 2 types, binary fission and multiple fission. The second type, it is called budding. Third type of asexual reproduction, it is fragmentation or regeneration. Then comes sporulation, and finally vegetative reproduction or vegetative propagation. So these are the 5 important types which we have listed during last video. Now let us consider each of this type and try to understand the mechanism of reproduction followed in them by citing some important examples of living organisms. So let us start with the first type, that is fission. So as I explained, fission is of 2 types, binary fission and multiple fission. Binary fission is the division of parental cell into 2 small daughter cells which are almost equally sized. And this type of binary fission, it is mainly followed by unicellular organisms belonging to both prokaryotic as well as eukaryotic groups. In binary fission, the process begins with separation of nuclear content. It is simply a process of cell division, right? So as we know that cell division begins with karyokinesis, so the same pattern will be followed over here, but the difference is, in case of unicellular eukaryotes, the process of mitosis is referred as amitosis. It is because the spindle fibers are not formed, and that's why you cannot observe those finger-like projections while the nuclear content is getting divided, and that's why it is termed as amitosis process. So in this binary fission, first step, it is karyokinesis, where the nuclear division takes place. Once the nucleus is getting duplicated, the next step is cytokinesis. So cytokinesis is very specifically observed by formation of cleavage furrow or division furrow. Now the axis at which this division furrow is forming, the binary fission can be of 3 types. The first type, it is called simple binary fission, and it is mainly observed in amoeba-like unicellular organisms where the cells do not exhibit fixed cell symmetry or fixed cell shape. If the plane of division furrow passes through any direction, the fission type is referred as simple fission. It means there is no fixed angle at which the division furrow will pass. There are different possibilities, and that's why this is called simple fission. So here the example is amoeba.
Amoeba reproduces asexually by binary fission. Binary fission is a type of asexual reproduction in which the fully grown parent cell splits into 2 halves, producing 2 new daughter cells. At the time of binary fission, the amoeba withdraws pseudopodia and becomes spherical in shape. The nucleus splits longitudinally and divides into 2 daughter nuclei. These daughter nuclei move towards opposite poles. This is followed by the elongation of the parent cell. A fissure appears in the middle of the cytoplasm between the 2 daughter nuclei, dividing the cells into 2 equal halves. Thus, Two daughter amoebae are produced from a single parent. One of them has the original contractile vacuole while the other develops a new one. The entire process of binary fission is completed in less than half an hour, but this time varies with temperature.
The second type of binary fission is referred as longitudinal binary fission. In this, the plane of cytoplasmic division coincides with the longitudinal axis of individual cell. So in these cells of Euglena, the division furrow, it passes vertically like this, and the two cells get separated on this axis. If you observe the pattern of karyokinesis, the axis is horizontal axis for karyokinesis. So nuclear content is getting divided horizontally, while the cellular content, cytoplasmic content, is getting divided vertically. So that's how it is referred as longitudinal binary fission. So let's have a look into the video of the same. The third type is referred as transverse binary fission. If the plane of cytoplasmic division coincides with the transverse axis of the individual, then this fission is termed as transverse binary fission. So here I have cited the example of paramecium to understand this. So you can observe this nucleus first following karyokinesis, and the axis for karyokinesis is vertical, right? The nuclear content is getting divided vertically. Once the karyokinesis is getting completed, the division furrow, it passes horizontally, and two daughter cells are getting separated after this. So as the plane of cell division transverse, it is called transverse binary fission. So let's have a look into the video of the same. So these are the three important types of binary fission based on the axis at which cell division process is occurring. The second type of fission, it is referred as multiple fission. So in multiple fission, we will be studying two examples. The first example is of typical amoeba and more particularly, this is the example from Entamoeba histolytica, where this type of mode of reproduction is commonly observed. Under unfavorable conditions, the amoeba withdraws its pseudopodia and secretes a 3-layer hard covering around it. This hard covering is also referred as cyst. So these cysts are very tough layer and they are highly resistant against changing environmental conditions. Process of cyst formation is referred as encystation. Encystation, or it is also called as encystment. So after this encystment, this amoeba remain in dormant form. But during this dormant form, inside the cytoplasm, nuclear division is continuously taking place. And one nuclei, it is converting into 2 nuclei, then this is further following these nuclear division steps, and ultimately the situation is that cyst is completely packed up with the multiple number of nuclei. Now this cyst remains in dormant form. When favorable conditions return, this encysted amoeba produces many pseudopodiophores. So these are the pseudopodiophores which are formed in this encysted amoeba, and then the cyst wall burst. So here the cyst wall is burst and many spores are liberated in surrounding medium. These spores will further grow by absorbing some nutrients, and ultimately they turn into young amoeba and finally in mature amoeba. So in this type, mainly a single amoeba cell, it is ultimately giving rise to multiple number of cells, and that's why it is referred as multiple fission. The second example for multiple fission, we are referring from the malarial parasite, that is Plasmodium. So in humans, this malarial parasite, they are particularly following asexual reproduction, and that asexual reproduction type is by multiple fission. So as we know that these malarial parasites, they are being spread by the female Anopheles mosquitoes. Upon bite of female Anopheles mosquito, the Plasmodium, they are released inside the human blood along with the saliva of that mosquito. So once it enters into blood, through blood it gets into liver. Inside liver, this sporozoite, the form which is getting transferred from mosquito to human, it is referred as sporozoite. This sporozoite enters into liver cells or hepatocytes, and within liver cells it follows its first asexual reproduction process by multiple fission. So this sporozoite inside the liver cell forming many cryptomerozoites. Once the cryptomerozoites are formed, these cryptomerozoites are released upon cellular lysis. So ultimately, this infection cycle leads to breakdown of liver cells. Now this released forms, they are referred as cryptomerozoites. Cryptomerozoite now starts the another asexual reproduction cycle within the RBCs. So inside the RBC, this cryptomerozoite form. So inside the RBC, this cryptomerozoite forms, they grow by feeding organic molecules present within the cytoplasm. So as they are feeding on, they keep growing and they increase almost up to double size. That stage is called as scission stage. So these scissions, they are nothing but grown merozoites. Now within this scission, the nucleus divides into around 12 to 24 nuclei, and after this nuclear division, a cytoplasmic division occurs. So after cytoplasmic division, we can observe there are multiple merozoite forms formed within the RBC. So ultimately, these merozoites, they are getting released from the RBCs by causing cell lysis. So RBCs are ultimately lysed and these merozoites are released from the RBCs. So that's how the infection cycle is continued by malarial parasite. Now let us move on to the next type, that is budding. The formation of a daughter individual from a small projection arising onto the parental body is called budding process. So in budding, a new individual is formed by the process of mitosis. So various examples under budding includes unicellular fungus like yeast, multicellular animals like sponges and hydra. The budding process generally can be of two types. The first type, it is called exogenous or external budding. So here there are two examples for this. The first example is from unicellular fungus, that is yeast. Now let us understand how this is happening. So within yeast, initially this nucleus, it is following karyokinesis. Upon karyokinesis, the nucleus is getting divided, and meanwhile a small outgrowth, that is a bud, is forming onto the surface of mother cell. So once the karyokinesis is completed, the daughter nuclei, it is entering into that bud, and ultimately there is segregation of cytoplasm between this mother cell and bud. So there are two possibilities here onwards. Either that bird will get separated from the mother body and grow up as a mature yeast, or as in this case, here the daughter cells, the daughter birds remain attached to the original mother stalk, and that may looks like a multicellular structure, but it is not a multicellular structure, rather it is a yeast cell which has entered into the budding process. The second example of exogenous budding, it is from a multicellular organism, that is hydra. So in hydra also we can observe that the process of budding initiates at the surface, where a small outgrowth or bud can be observed. That outgrowth, it further develops and get converted into a miniature hydra. This miniature hydra remains attached to the mother stalk until and unless it further grows and become independent to obtain nutrition. So initially, for nutrition purpose, it remain dependent onto the mother body, but later on, as it grows further, it becomes separated and forming a new hydra. So this is original mother stalk, and this is the bird which has developed into a new hydra. So that's how the exogenous budding process can also be observed into the hydras. Now second type of budding, it is called internal budding or endogenous budding. It is mainly observed into the sponges. In certain types of freshwater and marine water sponges, the parent individual releases a specialized mass of cells enclosed in a common envelope, which is called as gemmule. So this gemmule is nothing but an internal bud formed within the sponge body. These gemmules are usually found in round or ball-like structure. During unfavorable conditions, the gemmules remain unaffected. When favorable conditions return, this gemmule ultimately begin to develop into new sponge body. Next type of asexual reproduction, it is fragmentation and regeneration. So the term fragmentation we usually refer in context with the algal filaments, while the regeneration is observed in many multicellular animals. So fragmentation is the process of asexual reproduction generally observed in certain types of algae. Here I have cited an example of Spirogyra. So this mother Spirogyra filament, it gets fragmented into three parts. This fragmentation may be a result of friction occurring due to the flowing water or any other such reason, but whenever such single filament, it is getting fragmented into multiple parts, each of this fragment, it grows as a new filament. So initially there was only single Spirogyra filament. That single Spirogyra filament broken down into 3 pieces, and now each of these 3 pieces is giving rise to new Spirogyra filament, and that's why it is considered as a mode of asexual reproduction, as there is formation of 3 filaments from a single mother filament. The other such type is observed in animal, and the example is planaria. In planaria, naturally there are some amputation sites present. So during asexual reproduction, the planarial body is getting amputated into several parts. If I consider there are 3 axes of amputation present in here, it is resulting in fragmentation of this animal body into 4 parts. Now each of this part, it will follow the process of regeneration. So what happens? If I consider this first part, it has got only this region, but remaining second, third and fourth regions are missing. But by the regeneration process, that part will regenerate the missing parts. Similarly, the second part, it will regenerate its missing parts. Third part will regenerate the missing parts, and the fourth fragment also regenerate its missing parts. So that's how there was only one planaria, and upon this process of fragmentation and regeneration, it has resulted in formation of this 4 planaria. So this is one of the important method of asexual reproduction in organisms like planaria. Next type of asexual reproduction is sporulation. Asexual reproduction can also occur through formation of specialized reproductive structures called spores. So spores are actually asexual reproductive bodies formed by members of kingdom fungi and certain simple plants belonging to groups thallophytes, bryophytes and pteridophytes. Basically there are 2 types of spores, zoospores and conidia. So the zoospores are a special kind of motile and flagellated spores produced inside the zoosporangia, and this flagella helps to swim in aquatic habitat for their proper dispersal. So in organisms like Chlamydomonas, we can observe the formation of zoospores, and this serves as the mean of asexual reproduction in Chlamydomonas. The another type of spore which I mentioned is conidia. So conidia are non-motile spores produced singly or in chains by constriction at the tip or lateral sides of spatial hyphal branches called conidiophores. So here, onto this conidiophores, there is a chain of conidia arising, and this type of conidia we can observe in fungus like penicillium. So that's it for this lecture video. Our next type of asexual reproduction, that is vegetative propagation or vegetative reproduction, we will be studying into next video lecture. So till then, goodbye, and friends, don't forget to send your comments or queries onto my Telegram channel. So the link to join that Telegram channel I have mentioned into the description. So please go through it. Goodbye.